Governor Beebe. Thank you for reminding me of what my number is. As I get older and more idle brain, the fact that both numbers are the same make it a heck of a lot easier to remember. Senator Pryor, thank you for being here. David, Barbara, Dale, Betty, thank you for being here. Bill Bowen, thank you for being here. You're still looking pretty young, man. Governor Tucker, thank you for being here. Thanks for bringing your sister. Dustin, thank you. James Lee Leon, thank you. Mac, thank you. He looks just like you, except better, Mac. Skip and Billy, Bruce and Hallie, thank you all. Terry Garner, thanks for doing a great job at the library. I'd really like to thank my son-in-law for coming down here. Into a strange land. We were talking about the baseball playoffs on the way down here, and Mark is from Philadelphia. And we were asking whether Hillary and I, he thought the Yankees could beat the Tigers. He said it doesn't matter. Philadelphia is the only team in baseball that won over 100 games. The World Series is as much as decided. We're trying to get used to all this. I want to thank the city and county officials. Judge Lyons, thank you. You didn't speak, and like always, you're a person of few words, a lot of action. And I thank the mayors, both of who have been my friends forever. I also want to thank Dean Comperis. I'm not sure any of this would have happened if it hadn't been for him over years and years and years. And Margaret, William, all the members of the Clark family. I want to thank Bill's grandchildren. Your grandfather would have been so proud of you standing up on this stage today. You know, I would be in favor of what we're doing today and naming these wetlands for Bill Clark if I had never really known him, just because of his life's work. But I really did love the guy. And the longer I knew him, the more I cared for him. And as nearly as I could see, he only failed at one thing in his entire life. It's one thing he was an abject failure in. You know, he was a scratch golfer into his 7th decade. And he spent unbelievable hours trying to turn me into a decent one, and he failed. But we both had a good time trying. This day could only be more perfect if he were here with us to celebrate it. And Margaret, William, to all of you, I thank you. And I'm honored that this happened. And I'm looking forward to extending the wetland over there, because the first time I ever went out on that porch, I looked down over there and I saw a red fox with no visible means to get there. He was out on there, and I thought that would qualify as a place to be preserved. I also want to say something, Mayor Hayes. You know, when we dedicated this library in a rainstorm, I pointed out that some of my critics compared it to a high-tech house trailer. I thought it was supposed to be a metaphor for a bridge to the 21st century. They said it was a high-tech house trailer. And I made a joke that I kind of like that, since I wanted my library center to be a place where ordinary Americans could actually come and relate to what happened. And this week, Mike, you may have seen it, there was an article in one of the national press saying that Arkansas couldn't decide whether to shed its hillbilly image or embrace it, and said there was some kind of redneck Olympics or something going on in Clinton, where they were having their equivalent of horseshoe throwing, where people tried to throw a toilet seat around the park. And I thought, that's okay, I like that too. But when we were coming over here on the bridge, the first thing I noticed, Mayor Hayes, is that on the other side of my house trailer is an RV park. And if my mother's street leads to that, she'd like that too. I want to say just a couple of things seriously. This bridge is important because first it keeps the promise we made, all of us, with the help of you, Mr. Secretary, for which I'm very grateful, and Governor, your help. We came up with the money, which turned out to be 2.5 times what the original estimate was, to complete this trail loop. And it's important. I'm proud of it. But this bridge is more than 110 years old. Just like the headquarters there of our presidential center and the Clinton School. So it connects our past to our present. It connects because of the preserve here, our reverence for nature, with our support for the advancement of civilization. I have to tell you, I'm going to brag on this. There was an article written in an architectural blog site this week, at least I saw it on the internet, it might be in a magazine, where the writer said there are 5 truly beautiful buildings in the United States that have received a platinum LEED rating, the highest environmental rating you can give, and he listed this one first. So I'm very grateful. So we're connecting people to nature and our past to our present. I tell people all the time when they ask me, how did it turn out so well? I say, well, what we brought to Washington, D.C. was arithmetic. A radical new idea that if 2 and 2 was 4 in Little Rock, it'd probably still be 4 by the time we got to Washington. And a concern for our kids. If you think about it, all the sort of hyperventilating rhetoric that surrounds politics, and I contributed my fair share. I'm not being sanctimonious here. When it's all said and done, there are really only 3 things that matter. Are people better off when you quit than when you started? Do the children have a better future? And are things coming together or falling apart? Everything else is background music. Nothing else matters. Bridges bring things together. Biggest problem we got today in America is that conflict and driving people apart is both good politics and exciting media. The lines are blurred between the news, the entertainment, and the commentary. You got all these guys like me who are home alone a lot. My wife has a traveling job. So I'm channel surfing. I never have to watch the news. I can just watch sports events and movies. A lot of you do too. So if you're trying to get yourself a little market share, conflict is a lot more sexy on the news than pointing out how people plotted and argued and got through to a common agreement. I don't know if Congressman Griffin's here or not, but he was going to come. And we all got to. Thank you. Congressman, stand up. Thank you for being here. So, I fought with Dick Armey and Tom DeLay and Newt Gingrich. We shut the government down twice, and everybody finally got exhausted and decided to go to work, and it worked out pretty well for you. I just finished reading a book by a woman named Catherine Schultz called Being Wrong. And her argument is that one of the reasons that humanity has survived all this time is because of our mistakes, because we learn from them. And that actually we all shouldn't be so afraid to admit that we might be wrong. It enables us to grow and learn and go together. So we're living in a time when, to be fair to the politicians, they look at the media, they look at the election results, and they say, well, what really works here is conflict. But if you look around America at the places that are booming already, that don't know there's any recession going on, it's because everybody's working together. So when you look at this bridge, and you think about the harmony the wetlands bring between humanity and nature, just remember that. The real deal is that we need victories in real life for ordinary people who want jobs that don't have them, or want full-time jobs and are working part-time, or killing themselves and hadn't had a raise in 10 years. And what brings real victories is cooperation. And somehow we got to realign that. We got to think of the bridge. We got to think of the wetlands. We got to think of harmonizing. Look, this is a difficult time. The whole world's going through this upheaval and transformation. But that's what I want you to think about. Our country is now the oldest democracy in human history. Continuously elected government. We like to think of ourselves as forever young. In many ways we are. We're a lot younger than a lot of all the other rich countries in the world, fully developed. We're younger because we've let in immigrants. So just when we need to stay young, so the retirement of the baby boomers, of whom I am the oldest, doesn't bankrupt the country, we decided we don't need immigrants anymore. That's a big mistake. We're going to be fine if we get back in the future business. But if you go all the way back to the beginning of human civilizations, when countries and civilizations get rich, they get careless. And the people that drive the engines of growth try to hold on to the present more instead of putting a little aside to invest in the future. They try to hold on to their positions instead of advancing the purposes for which their leadership was designed. And all we got to do is think about putting America back in the future business. There's not, you know, I said in my first inaugural address, there's nothing wrong with this country. It can't be fixed by what's right with it. You think, look at the wetlands, look at the bridge, look at all this, think of the lives of the people we've honored today. There's plenty that's right. And that's what I want to leave you with. There are hundreds of people out here today I have known for most of my life. There are scores of you who can honestly give examples of what you did for me, without which I might never have become governor, or governor the second time, and certainly not president. And as we'll talk a little more about tomorrow, when I started 20 years ago in 2 days, and we do this tomorrow, I think only my mother was certain I would win. Hillar and Chelsea were positively undecided. Everybody else thought it was the fool's errand. It'd be fun to see what New Hampshire was like in the winter. That's the way you ought to think about where our country is today. All the possibilities are there. We just have to do the right thing. And just like this bridge, we have to do them in a way that brings us together, not drives us apart. All that I learned from you, from the life you gave me, from the laughs you gave me, from the way I watched you overcome your personal tragedy and pursue your personal dreams. From all the campaigns we fought, the ones we won and the ones we lost. It all amounted to building a bridge between my heart and my mind, between my life and everybody else's. That's what we have to do today, all of us. Every time you see the bridge, every time you see the memory of Bill Clark commemorated in this play on the nature, ask yourself what you can do to build your own bridges and to create your own harmony. God bless you, and thank you.